Check.
What's up, Brian Blasko?
Check. Good morning.
We're rolling.
We're rolling.
Welcome to Gutsy Moves.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about Brian Blasko.
Okay.
Deep breath.
Back in 1972, a sperm and an egg got together. And this guy was created. Born and raised in Youngstown, Ohio. Went to Cardinal Mooney for high school. Lived in the area all my life. Been a professional speaker now for 27 years. People always ask why I live here, because I could live anywhere. I just have to be by an airport, realistically, because most of my gigs are out of state. But family, friends, kids keeps me here. I love Youngstown.
It's very well grounded here. We're very much part of, what we call it, the Youngstown Valley, right?
Right.
Dear. We call it our launch pad.
Yeah.
This is where you raise kids. This is where you feel at home. This is where it's easy. It's inexpensive. Everything's pretty affordable. It's a great launch pad.
Right. Especially the affordable.
Yeah.
I mean, because I travel everywhere, and the houses we live in here, realistically, somewhere else are triple, quadruple in price.
Yeah. Every now and again, I run into a seller who thinks that their house is like on the outskirts of D.C.
I bet that happens a lot.
Pick it up and move it here. It's not 1.2 anymore. Yeah. So I've known you for 20-some years. Yeah. And the first time we met was something through real estate and brokerage. I actually don't remember where I was at the time. It may have been Century 21.
Okay.
And you were doing...
I did a gig for Century 21 back in the day.
You were doing continuing education hours. We went to some big auditorium.
I know exactly. I remember that.
And you have a book.
I forgot
Cruising Through Life at
35 miles per hour. That is the first book. And then I wrote a second book, and I'm almost done with my third book.
Do you know that was impactful with my career?
Really?
Yes. It was the first time that I'd heard the 4 personality types.
Okay, right.
Relatable to something that for this direct 4x4
right.
could really comprehend.
Well, thank you. Well, that's why I wrote it like that. So those of you listening, the millions of listeners we have, there are numerous personality assessment tests that are out there. Myers-Briggs has one, DISC has one, my Aunt Bunny has 2. Some of them are good, some of them no good. So when I wrote that book, I didn't even create a test. I just said, here are 4 general personality styles that we deal with every day, and I'm going to categorize them into vehicles. So you're either a 4x4, a Volvo, a sports car, or a minivan. And we have all of them within, but there's always a dominant personality. So knowing what yours is important. Direct, bottom line, to the point. But knowing what your buyer is, or your seller is more important. Because it's like a car salesman walking up to me on the lot trying to sell me a car based on finance when I'm only worried about how fast it goes and what colors it comes in. So if you're selling to me over here on this and I'm looking for this over here, you've lost it. So that was a fun part of that book.
You're an engaging speaker. You're funny.
I'm a maniac.
Yeah, it was like I was like, I like this Blasko guy.
I do like real estate agents, and I like talking. So I spoke at NAR a couple years. They had me out at the national conference. I didn't get the big stage. I did a couple breakout sessions, but it was great. But from that, I booked a ton of business with different agents and different brokerages. I spoke at, it's not called OAR anymore, is it? The Overall Association of Realtors.
Yes, it is.
So I spoke there a couple times. In fact, I did that Car Key Factor program on personalities at that conference. And I really geared it towards agents because let's say you have 5 listings, right? And you know this personality is a Volvo, which is your analytical, thinks things through, likes to open up every door, every cupboard, asks a million questions. Well, sometimes you need to space those showings out a little bit because you know it's going to take 20 minutes in each building or 30 minutes. And then that 4x4 is bottom line in, let's look, okay, this sucks, we're out of here. You have the minivan who wants to know about the neighborhood, they want to know about the security, and then you have the sports car who wants to know if the neighbors are cool, if I can fit a hot tub on them. So knowing who your audience is and knowing how to sell to them, it's key.
So are you a sports car?
I'm a sports car.
Big time now.
Yeah.
Relatable, right?
Right.
Yeah, life of the party. Everybody loves to hang out with.
And I always tell people, never change who you are, but you should accommodate the people you're with. So I'm always a sports car. But if I'm dealing with a client, whether it's a buyer or a seller in real estate or even a client in my professional career, if I know they're this personality, I won't change who I am, but I will try to accommodate them. Because if I stay at this level all the time, I lose people. Because I am sometimes over the top. Sometimes. As we were talking before we got on the air. If I were born now, I'd be on a pill.
Well, I think
Prozac,
that maybe
Ritalin,
you should consider coming back into the real estate world, because now that it's been 20 to 25 years, there's a whole slew of agents that have only been in for 5 years who have not heard your
speech.
They don't know these.
Or my
Although
stories.
I feel like I have a leg up because I know these things.
So you're an author.
So I'm an author. I'm a professional speaker first. Author's a side hustle.
Real estate agent.
I was
your
an
former life. So
Yeah,
a lot of
5
similarities.
years.
You've got a significant other relationship with Melinda. Who's
Correct.
a
Melinda.
stud.
She's a
or
beast.
a queen
In
if you
PA
will,
and in
PA,
Ohio. Yeah.
That's right. So in your professional speaking, your author, you're creating some similarities, and you just did it to real estate. Tell all our listeners, Tennessee, Florida, and New York.
Oh, yeah.
What do you do?
This is funny. I just got pulled over the other day driving home from, I don't know, New York maybe. So I was going only 80. I thought it was 70, but it was in one of those sections on 80 West where it turns into 65. So I see the lights. I'm like, ah, shit. I pull over. I'm like, I was only going 80. Speed limit 70. He rolls up. He's like, you know you were speeding? I'm like, yeah, 10 miles over. You got me. He's like, 15. I go, ah, shit. He goes, it shifted. Super cool. Knew I was normal with regards to, I had both my windows down. I had my ID out. I wasn't filming him as he was approaching my car. I just, let's talk, dude. You know? So he rolled up. He felt comfortable. And then he says, where are you coming from? And I go, New York. I was working. And that's all I said. And he goes, what do you do for a living? I go, this is one of those questions I always get. And I go, I don't like to use the word motivational speaker. I am a motivational speaker, but there's that cliche. It's like I'm living in a van down by the river. Matt fooled me.
Yeah.
So
Little
I always
smaller,
say, right, a little smaller, a little thinner. I say professional speaker because that encompasses everything. I do training and development. I do team building, leadership, communication, personal development. So anyway, I tell this guy I'm a professional speaker. He's like, what? I go, I'm like a motivational speaker. He's like, well, what is it? What do you? I go, you know how the cops have an association? And I'm telling him this, and he's in my side window. Like the National Association of Police Officers who are awesome. And you're at that conference for 3 days. I go, I'm the guy they bring in to do that opening keynote speech or that closing. He's like, oh, okay, cool. And just asked me a ton of questions and said, all right, have a good day. You're out of here. Gave me no ticket, but it was neat. So I love what I do. I've been doing it for 27 years. Speaking of what I do, I asked these guys before we came on the air, Gutsy Moves, and where that name came from. And it's about moves you make in life that you have to think things through and just take that leap of faith, like you guys do often with your real estate and your Quinnvestors and things like that. So, do you want me to tell you what my gutsy move was in life?
Go ahead, roll with it. I mean, get it all.
My original goal, I was going to be a college professor. I'm teaching public speaking courses, loved it. I did a really fun intro on my first communication course. Want me to tell you about it?
Yes.
So I got to class early. I sat in a seat. I let all the students roll in. So the desk is up front where the teacher should be. I'm in the seats. Let's say the class started at 9 o'clock. So 9 o'clock rolls around. These kids start looking around. I'm sitting. I start talking. So I start making conversations over here with this kid over here. Talking. I'm like, where the hell is this professor? This is ridiculous. So I wanted to see how many kids would engage with me communication-wise versus how many thought this guy's weird. So I did this for about 5 minutes. Some kids were like, where the heck's the professor? And one kid's like, maybe we should call. And I'm talking. Then I got up, walked to the front of the room, turned around and said, welcome to whatever. My name's Brian Blasko. I'll be your instructor. And they were like, and it was just a cool experiment, if you will, with regards to interpersonal communication. How do you relate well with someone who just strikes up conversation? Do you shy away? Do you engage? And that was a lot of fun. So anyway, so I was just about to start my PhD program. And Dr. Andy Rancer, rest his soul, doc, wonderful man, mentor, friend, literally brought me into his office one day, sat me down and said, listen, we love having you here. Get the hell out. Wow. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, you should take your show on the road. And I'm not kidding you guys. That day, I left academia, stopped the PhD program, and went into the world of professional speaking. And 27 years later, here I am.
Wow.
From that guy seeing something in me that I didn't know.
When was the last time you spoke with him? Because obviously
Probably a
he's not
year and a
around.
half ago. Yeah. I thanked him in my first book I wrote, Cruising Through Life. There's an acknowledgement section in the back for him. And he was just that guy who gave me that push. And I'm like, F it, I'm going to do it. So
Yeah,
that
so
was
you
my gutsy move.
literally just walked away from a certificate, a framed, this is where I've been, this
salary.
is what I did,
Right.
and went out
Healthcare.
and made your gutsy move.
And it was tough in the beginning. Still tough now.
Yes.
You know, I'm talking to
You're an entrepreneur.
Yeah. I got that spirit in me.
You do, and you're self-motivating.
You know, people always say, it's like if you're a comedian and you're at a party and someone said, what are you, a comedian? Make me laugh, right? People always say that.
something funny.
Right. So they're always like, motivate me. I'm like, oh, here we go. So I always tell people, like, I've never once waved the pom-pom or gotten someone's face and said, I always say, if you are good with who you are, that energy just exudes out and people are either gravitated towards or not.
That's right.
You could sometimes motivate someone by not waving a pom-pom in their face, just being content with who you are and what you do.
Right. Well, they see that and they want to emulate you.
Yeah, right. So it's kind of just like, it's like you raising Quinn.
That is motivating in and
Monkey
of
see,
itself.
monkey do.
That's right. Authenticity.
Good. So that was my gutsy move. That is how I got into professional speaking. It's up and down. Your original question, I think, was Florida, Nashville, New York. So I have a huge healthcare client called CareRight. Shout out to them. Wonderful people. They own 37 long-term care facilities, the majority in New York, a lot in West Palm, Boca Raton area, and 9 in Nashville. So they have hired me on as their in-house motivational guy. I even have a little badge that says Inspiration Motivation, Brian Blasko. So I visit all their buildings, and I do a ton of speeches. So I'll do 7 speeches in one day, and I'm talking all day. So I keep them short, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, because I'm pulling people off the floor that are nurses, doctors, physical therapists, occupational therapists, but I'll do everyone. Kitchen, housekeeping, line staff, dietary, HR. It doesn't matter what your position is.
How much interaction do you have with the residents?
Tons. So I would say 90% is good. 10% want to beat me up because a lot of times I'm in their space because some of these buildings are huge. Some of them are 500 bed long-term care facilities. Some are 80 bed long-term care facilities. So the conference room can't hold a lot of people. So sometimes I'm in the resident dining and sometimes they have to get booted out and they get pissed. They'll wheel in and be like, what are you doing in my because I'm in their turf. I've had thousands sit and listen to me as I give a presentation. Sometimes the staff wants to kick them out. I go, no. What are they hurting? They're not hurting anything. Leave them there. Sometimes they'll laugh. Sometimes they'll just look at me. But it's a great gig. I love it. And so I'll do a speech like at 9 in the morning, 10 in the morning, 11 in the morning, 1 p.m. Then I'll go back to my hotel, chill, relax, regroup, go back to the building, 9:30 at night, 10:30 at night, midnight. So I do all 3 shifts. That was one of the things that sealed the deal with this client. They said, all right, I'm talking to people at sometimes 1 in the morning who's like that redheaded stepchild who's people are forgotten about that 3rd shift. So when and again, I'm no gift, but when I roll in, they're kind of happy because they know it's going to be a fun little session. It's 30 minutes, 45 minutes. They're getting paid to sit there and relax. I love it.
You break the cycle.
What an amazing thing from a company perspective that they chose to integrate what you do to help them mentally.
Right.
It's not a training thing, and it's not like they are feeding into
Correct.
these humans' mental well-being.
That's why as an employee, if you feel good about who you are and what you do, that just resonates right to the patient or resident.
That is so rare.
Not a lot of companies do that.
I was just listening to a video just the other night about the students in Finland who are outperforming the majority of students around the world. And what they did to change their academic structure was reduce the amount of hours that children attended school. And they let them play, more of a Montessori style physical play for shorter periods of time. And it wasn't regimented. Some days school was 3 hours and some days school was 4 hours.
Love that. And they excelled?
They excelled, like off the charts. But what that company's doing with what you're doing is something similar. Think outside the box. And how do you feed into people to get the best version of the human that they can be?
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah. It's great. And the team I work with, I say it's a team. It's, Ashley is the head of our team, if you will, with regards to the people she has. So this company, CareRight, they've hired a professional speaker to come in. They have 2 para-Olympians, gold medalists, amputees below the knee, who visit all the buildings and do one-on-one with amputees in rehab.
Yeah.
They have a professional photographer, Lewis, who comes to all the buildings, does all the shoots and everything. They have an urban Zen girl, Dana, who goes to all...
Nice.
It's unbelievable.
How do they integrate Curious diet and exercise?
Are you ready for this? Yeah. You know Chef Ann Burrell?
No.
With the blonde hair, spiky?
Oh,
I do, yes.
They just hired her to redo all the menus in the buildings. So they have Chef Burrell now redoing all the menu, trying to make it more like a home.
Yes.
Because I always tell the staff, remember, let me think it through. These people do not live where you work. you work in their home. And I try to remind the staff that all the time, even when you're walking into a resident's room. I know you think you could just walk in because they're 90 years old. It's their house.
Say that
You
one
when you
more
just
time.
walk.
These people.
You do not, those residents do not live where you work. You work in their home. If you can go into that job, that day of work, realizing I am actually in someone's home, how would you act if you were a guest in someone's home? You'd be polite. You'd knock on the door before you wouldn't just walk into someone's house.
I think and I wanted to hear that again, and I think it's relatable in the sense that that's interpersonal communication, right? And when you're talking about that, it's not just a resident and a caretaker. That's a mentor and a student.
Yeah, right.
That kind of a parent and a child. And if you can just maybe let that sink in, and we'll talk about that a little bit more continuously.
Yeah.
Not necessarily just today, but moving forward. That's a pretty
powerful,
great
right?
life lesson. Yes.
Buying, selling, or investing. We are the creative ones. Visit us at creativeones.com. Gutsy, you have a question.
Gutsy moves. Okay, so we're talking gutsy moves. The podcast is called Gutsy Moves. I'm curious, with regards to you together and individually, what gutsy moves you guys have made to get you to where you are, both personally and professionally.
For me, I think my original gutsy move was getting a divorce and leaving
Tough to do.
a marriage,
Did it?
and went to my dad contemplating, what should I do? There's kids involved. Do you do the best thing for your kids? Do you do the best thing for yourself? Because if I choose me, then I'm letting down other humans. And if I choose the other humans, then I'm letting down myself. What do you do? And my dad said, Kate, sometimes making no decision is... No, let me say that again. Sometimes making the wrong decision is better than making no decision at all.
That's wise.
And I thought, that's it. I've got to go. And that was my first launch into, I'm going to start making some decisions solely based on what I want to get out of life.
Okay.
I was not satisfied.
Yeah.
I wanted
it's good
more.
to focus on yourself.
I don't know
There's
what I
nothing
wanted
wrong
more
with
of, but I wanted more.
that. More Brandon.
I don't know. No?
That's the gutsy.
Gutsy. Shit.
Maybe the gutsiest.
That is gutsy.
No, that started, but I never said I want to be a real estate investor.
Okay.
That kind of came into one thing led to another.
Yeah, because I want to talk about that, because you guys are doing some cool stuff, not
Yeah.
just here in Ohio, but Arizona.
What was it that you had a
venture
game
into?
changer?
Well, I mean, I had a few.
You do. What do you want to talk about?
Is long and distinguished. I'm going to go back to Quinnvestors and a napkin, September of 21. That's something I spent 33 months. I say we. But there was a lot of 5 a.m. mornings and the reading, and we were talking about in the beginning of the shoot here this morning. Prior to going live, we were just talking about senses and all the things that go into, how you remember things. So, as I was reading, I would think of these ideas and I would get distracted and I would write them down. And I just remember listening, highlighting, writing, and reading. And that's what I spent about 2.5 hours from 4:45 to 7:30 in the morning before Quinn and Kate got up, and really focusing on how we could get the fund launched. And probably the proudest moment of all, as it relates to the fund itself, Quinnvestors, is we're a conglomerate. So when you look at the fund itself and what it's built on, short-term rentals require an intense amount of hospitality and interaction with the guest. And property management in the STR market is rather lacking in the sense of quality. And we just got done talking
Quality
about
versus quantity.
versus quantity.
Right.
And so we've been very fortunate to meet some great folks at Yonder Luxury Vacation Rentals, amongst others within the fund, that are companies where we can, not just a person, but companies with multiple people that they rely on to launch the fund. And so we spent 33 months building before we launched June 27th of 24, north of 20 companies and north of 120 people headcount to be able to have a tech team, an ad agency, an accounting firm, and the list goes on. And Yonder is right at the top of that list, where we can take and focus our entire efforts of property management on guest experience. And so if you're a property management company and you're representing owners and you're representing guests, then your efforts are split. Why did my guest move the couch over here and take these pictures off the wall? So then the property management company has to address those things as, the PM.
Right.
Well, they also have to communicate with the guests about everything else that's happening while they're both on property as well as anything that's happening pre-arrival and post-checkout, damage, etc. So the long story short, the fund is very gutsy in the sense that we are using other people's money to scale in real estate at pretty much the apex predator of how you do it, if you will, which is involving other people in private equity to make the guest experience the best experience they can have, and spending 33 months to be able to arrive at that decision and launch, and then close on our first property in Arizona.
I want to talk about that.
A distinctive approach to passive income with luxury vacation rentals.
For more information, check out our website, Quinnvestors.com.
We're so focused on customer service, and the customer's always right. And I always say, focus on customer care. And the example I use in healthcare is this. You service things, you care for people. And last I checked, the residents in our buildings are human beings. If their bed breaks, service it. But you care for the person lying in the bed. If something in one of your properties breaks, service it, because it's an object, but you care for the person renting your property. And if you guys, which you are, go into every transaction with it.
Have you heard of a book called Unreasonable Hospitality?
Nope. Should I read it?
You should.
Yes,
Okay.
read it.
That's a great
So relatable for what we do too.
Unreasonable hospitality.
Yeah. And that's one of the yonder premises of how they run their business and handle their guest experience. Yeah.
Aligning with what you just said, right? So guest service, guest experience.
Guest experience, right.
They have a guest experience team.
Yep.
But I love the fact that it started on a napkin, started with an idea. And the cool thing about you two is I feel you bounce stuff off each other. So maybe he had this idea and he says, Kate, what do you think about this? Kate says, I like that, but let's think about this. That's a cool thing. So
We're definitely two different vehicles for sure.
right. And that's a
I
complementary.
think we're dealing with the Volvo.
Very
yeah.
analytical, thinks things through, which you need.
Yes.
And you need that direct bottom line, Brandon, we're doing this.
We were at a symposium in Las Vegas, and we were trying to cultivate a way in which we wanted to grow our business and what we were going to actually do.
Okay.
And we were balancing between a project, which was the fund, and another development potentially. And this sticks in my mind because you chose to get up in front of the group and pitch something. And we worked on it. It was like a live class, and then get up in front and pitch your thing to us. So Brandon got up there and he pitched a housing development. And after the class was over, our mentor came over and talked to us about it. And he said, I don't know. It doesn't really seem like I'm not feeling it.
Okay.
And we quickly realized that's not where our passion was. It seemed like the best logical financial thing to do,
Okay.
but it wasn't, we weren't passionate about it. And once we moved in and launched into Quinnvestors, it was so easy because it's truly what our passion is. It involves all of the things that we love to do.
The reason that it made a lot of sense to further expand on that, the two decisions that we could make, it was comfortable in the sense that it's residential real estate to develop. It's an area where we presently live, where you're able to already parcel off and continue to build out the roads, the curbs, all the stuff that goes into that development. It's literally in our backyard. And having optionality on some additional lots in the neighborhood and optionality on some land that we're buying, it's pretty hard to find that much acreage in the town of Salem, Ohio,
Okay.
in the city. And there was tax abatement that was coming down the line. That's since been enacted in January of 24. So we're 14 months into that. And there's economic stimulus available. And there was just all these things that made it really comfortable. Plus it's in our backyard where we have a lot of established relationships. So literal in the sense of our backyard and then in our town. And so when I was standing in front of the room, you were nice. Joel pulled me aside. He goes, I don't like it because you don't like it. Why don't you like it? And he just started quizzing me about the differences between luxury vacation rentals, short-term rentals, and what we knew, and then this development idea. And he said, you need to go talk about this. So we went aside and did our little breakout session, if you will, of others, our peers in the room. And here we are, Quinnvestors, and we own our launch property in Arizona.
I love that. That's Scottsdale area?
Phoenix.
Okay.
Phoenix, we are close to downtown. It's an amazing location. You can walk to bars and restaurants. There's a park in the background, tree lined sidewalks.
Palm trees.
Property
trees.
looked beautiful.
Croft.
Swimming pool in the back I saw.
We added a hot
it's
tub.
gorgeous back
We spent 3 weeks launching
Okay.
that property to make it the best experience for guests. Coffee pots, new rugs, throw
Little
blankets,
luxury things that people want.
Hot tub. Oh, a cooled pool.
Yeah, in Phoenix, you don't buy a pool heater, you buy a pool cooler as well.
Get out of here. 'cause
You
it
buy
gets
a
so
pool
warm
heater
there. Okay,
and a
okay,
cooler,
all
but
right,
I said,
all
of
right.
course we need the cooler. What says luxury more than a cooled pool in July?
How cool. Are we going to stick in that area? Are we going to venture out?
So we're going to do both.
Quinnvestors.
Maricopa County, we have a lot of momentum. So in the PE space, especially with what we do, you protect against investors' losses. You maximize returns for your investors, and you do all of that by building momentum. And in Maricopa County, we've gone from one property in May of 23 via Yonder Luxury Vacation Rentals and one team member to now 4 team members in Phoenix proper with 29 properties. And that's effective January. So over that, what is that, 19 months, 20 months, we're coming up on 2 years now being in that market, and we're actively working in Southeast and Southwest Florida to do
Oh,
third
nice.
season.
Okay.
And we built a property there ourselves.
With Yonder as well there? Okay.
Yes.
And so we have a region for expansion, and it surrounds the fund. And so Southwest is Arizona, Greater Phoenix. Southeast is Florida, Southeast, and Southwest.
Okay.
Basically take a line from Orlando and frown down,
Okay.
right?
Boom.
Yep. And then North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee. That's
All booming.
the primary
They're all
market.
booming.
That's where
Right.
Yonder is headquartered in
Okay.
Asheville, North Carolina. And then the Great Lakes, Ohio and Michigan.
Right.
Yeah, population growth.
Job growth. Yeah, so we're expanding, but there's big momentum back to the development of the fund and Yonder proper in Maricopa County with the number of properties that we're onboarding, the relationships that we developed. And she just touched on some things that are very service-oriented as it relates to guests, you know, the touchy-feely things at the home. And I really spent a lot of time these last 3 weeks developing the experience piece,
Okay.
the relationships in the market. And there's some really cool stuff that we're going to be talking about very quickly that's happening in the greater Phoenix market, particularly with property expansion and some of the nuances that she just touched on with the guest experience.
One of the differentiators with Quinnvestors and the fund compared to other luxury vacation rental funds, because there's other people doing this short-term rental funds. One of the big differences is we have the ability to look into a real estate property and not just see the value, but add value with bedroom and bathroom counts. So I don't know if you want to talk about that.
STR space.
It's a differentiator.
Related to
rental, STR.
You got it.
Ooh, I'm good.
Short-term rental. Yeah. The related to what you do and with Care Right
Right.
and the residents and having their own room, right? What also do they have in their room? They have a restroom, right?
Okay. Right.
And so as a result of that, when you are building out an STR, your bedroom bathroom count should at least be a 1-to-1 ratio. Because
sense.
we're
Right,
all
right,
staying
right.
together.
Only 3 bedroom place
Your
with one
family is going to have your own space that you can do your thing. Now, you're going to have your common spaces, right?
Yep, yep.
Like with assisted living and
Correct.
long-term care, et cetera. You're going to have your common zones, your lounges, your
Dining
outdoor
area,
space,
outdoor
your kitchens,
patios.
et cetera.
Yeah.
The more of those you have, the more luxurious it is.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, your one-to-one space, bedroom, bathroom count, ideally is better if you have it a 1-to-1 ratio with a plus on the bathrooms. So you might have a 5-bedroom, 6 or 7 bath.
Each bedroom has their own ensuite, plus a pool bathroom and a half bathroom down the hallway. And so the differentiator for us is finding the missing market. And in an area like Phoenix, there are numerous properties, plentiful to choose from in the short-term rental market. However, the majority of the homes out there are your average 3 to 4 bedrooms, 1 to 2 baths. And so they've converted a home, converted into a short-term rental, but it's really not done for its highest and best use as an STR. And those are the people that we feel that we can easily beat out, so to speak, outperform by simply making the adjustments of adding bathrooms, adding casitas, and additional accessory dwelling units, ADU. And so if you're traveling with a group of friends or guys to go golfing or 2 other couples, do you want to choose the 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, or do you want the 3-bedroom, 4-bath?
Yeah.
So you each have your own private space. So that's one of the things that we do as a value add.
I love that.
Completely different.
It's your draw. What else is there to do within that location?
Yeah.
And how do you convert the property to make it optimal for the guest experience?
Are we allowed to? How do you?
Do you have to
walls
get permits
in
and all that stuff?
We do, and walls in are less
But
expensive.
man, who would have thought an extra bathroom? But you're right. If you're traveling with another couple, and they have kids and you have kids or whatever, and there's another, even if it's just 3 couples, and only 1 or 2 bathrooms, it's kind of nice.
As a user, when I'm filtering through traveling, we did a trip to Key West. There was potentially going to be 6 adults, 3 couples. And I specifically filtered out 3 bedrooms, 3 baths. And it went from 50 available properties to 3.
Yeah. That's a cool little thing.
That's what I look at. And we say, well, we know what we want to buy there,
Okay.
where the competition is less.
The execution of that, however, is where the differentiator comes into play.
It's not easy.
You have to get permitting, you have to get contractor sourcing, you have to know how to look at bids and analyze them and be able to get your costs in line.
Right.
Right. And so as you're doing that across multiple markets, that's requires a skill set that is a differentiator. Multiple markets is a differentiator for seasonality purposes. So in Arizona right now, it's like San Diego every day. You get into the mid 50s at night,
right?
You get into the low 80s, during the day. Now, in terms of temperature change, that's a little more than what they experience in San Diego. But the days from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., you're dealing with low 70s to low 80s, sun all day long. Now, come to Northeast Ohio and Michigan, and then try to do that from May to September, right? So in May to September, our property on Kelly's Island in July, can't get in there.
Right.
But go to Arizona in July.
Right.
130 degrees in July in Arizona is not appealing to play golf.
But we diversify with having properties in different locations also for the regional weather purposes.
Well, I love the Kelly's Island thing.
Do you own any investment properties?
I do not.
None?
I don't know. It's something I probably, could dive into. I would have to have smarter people than me figure it out.
Well, there is a way to invest in real estate without actually buying properties.
Oh, that's true.
We can,
gotcha. I know
we
what
can
you
talk to you
mean.
about that.
Yeah. Are there other things that you find as investors that people are gravitated towards with regards to, I'm going to live here for a short-term rental versus here? Is it a hot tub? Is it a walkout basement? Is it a sliding door? Is it a ceiling fan? Are there other things like besides that bathroom concept, which was great?
People search out hot tubs for sure.
They do?
There's actually studies that have been done about rental rates being higher. People will pay more money for a house that has a hot tub.
Nice.
That's a big one. Being pet friendly.
Oh,
is a huge deal.
Pet friendly. Is your property pet friendly?
It is.
All of our properties are pet friendly. Yeah.
We also have
the
a
STR
cleaning guarantee.
A what guarantee?
Cleaning guarantee. It's a big deal.
Okay.
So
I like that.
I just talked with a friend this morning as an example, and he was calling me. It was a business conversation, and we just were talking about life a little bit. It transitioned to the fact that we were home after being in Arizona for 3 weeks, and he said, "Man, you guys are just where's Brandon Davis in the world today?" And so when I was talking with Tyler, the conversation came up where it sounds to me like you have some pretty cool stuff going on. The more I look at it, the more I'm understanding. And, we talk a lot. And one of the things that he brought up this morning was, as it relates to the cleaning guarantee, I can remember everybody has a STR horror story, and a few of them, many people have. And he brought up the fact that he walked into a bathroom at one point, and the property itself was, in average, maybe a little better condition. But what he noticed was remnants of the previous guests. And when he walked into the bathroom, there was some lingerie hanging from the shower curtain.
Okay.
And so it was just one of those things where, do mistakes happen? Yes, they do.
Right.
But that resonates in his mind. And so when you have a pre-check and a post-check, pre-check-in and a post-check-out property care specialist that goes to your residence and looks at everything,
Checks stuff
checks
out.
it off the
Right,
list,
right.
the likelihood for those things to happen are very small. And so we back that up with a cleaning guarantee.
I love it.
We had a horror story with a filthy condo that was so dirty I couldn't even put
Myrtle
Quinn
Beach.
down on the floor.
You guys were renting it? Or
Yeah,
You guys were going?
we were
okay.
renting it, and it was so filthy. She was crawling, and I couldn't even put her down. It was so dirty.
Had they had your thing in place,
They're
people
out.
would have been in there. They would have made sure it was all
They're
good.
out there. There's a lot of mom and pops who are managing, self-managing. There's a lot of online booking agencies where the owners are just using a booking agent and the cleaners, and that's it. There's no property maintenance.
Done, right? Let some.
It's kind of down and dirty. They're just in it to make a quick buck or some money, and they don't really care
Have their
about that
clients'
customer experience.
best interest.
Yeah, no, they want 80-90% occupancy.
Yeah.
This thing is a workhorse. Bang it out and be done.
Quantity, not quality. So you
That's-
focus on the quality of
we
the
do.
thing rather than the quantity.
In fact, our ADRs are higher. Average daily rents are higher.
Okay.
Our occupancy.
I'm learning so many new words.
Are lower.
Well, acronyms.
So those are some differentiators.
I like it.
I really think that the differentiator of over most everything is property management in general. And property management is not something that most mom and pops. There's a lot of mom and pop property managers. And there are a lot of people in the STR space acting as hosts that have no relational understanding of hospitality.
Your property your property managers to me are like people managers because realistically the property is an entity by itself, a structure, but the people who are residing, that's what your guys are focused on, which to me is great. Because again, you could stay at any property. I mean, not they're all the same, but together. Yeah, there's a kitchen, there's a living room, there's a bathroom, there's a bedroom. But over here, these people, they manage the people, not just the property. And that's
Well, there's that saying that people don't remember what you did. They remember how you made them feel.
right.
Right?
When Care Right started, how many, you said 7 locations, I believe?
Care rate has been growing though since I've known them. I mean, just building after building after building after building, and they're cool. I mean, they're just good people.
I can tell.
How are they incorporated into this third book, Mr. Author?
So no, I'm not an author, but the
I
third
believe
book.
you are.
You have a book. Your name is on the bottom, written by.
This will be the third.
You are too an author.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it says it in
You
your
are a
description.
published
It
author.
does say the book is 2 words. Be better. That's it. So I've been preaching to my kids since they were young. They're older now, 21, 18, and 16. But since they were young, I've preached the philosophy of be better. Not better than your neighbors or try to be one-upping someone. It's just when an opportunity in life presents itself for you to take this or this, be better. Someone cuts you off in traffic, you want to tell them to go F themselves, be better. Someone does something that you're not happy with and you want to, respond to them, be better. So it's 7 strategies for a happy, healthier, better lifestyle. And it literally is old school stuff that we forgot as adults. So each chapter is this: be humble, be kind, be thankful, be genuine, be present. I just wrote the chapter on being present. Be present, really present when you're with human beings. And it's, the please and thank you, things we forget as adults that we learn in kindergarten. Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. As adults, we lie, we cheat, we steal. And I can't figure it out because we learned as kids not to do that. So it's just an old school concept, and I've told numerous stories throughout the book. So the first book, Cruising Through Life, is more motivational, personal development. personality stuff. The second book I wrote is called Sending Signals. That one I love because it's written like an allegory parable story. Do you remember the book Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson?
Yes, that's a good one.
So I'm like, all right, if Spencer Johnson can shrink 2 humans down and have them run through a mouse maze with mice, sniff and scurry, hem and haw, remember the book? I'm like, well, screw it. I'm going to take a traffic light and I'm going to make this traffic light come to life. So it's called Sending Signals. The cover of the book is a traffic light. It's Rudy red light, Yanni yellow light, Gertie green light, and they represent the 3 types of leadership. So the book's called Cruising Through Life with Leadership. Rudy red light is an autocratic, domineering leader. Yanni's that passive, I'm not sure. And then Gertie green light is the optimistic, assertive leader. Yeah. So the whole purpose of the book, and it literally starts off once upon a time, and it's like a story. It's about
It's one of the greatest ways to start a speech.
Yes, once upon a time. So this traffic light, it every year, traffic lights and road signs throughout the world compete in a race that we don't know about as humans. It's called the Great Race. And the winner of the Great Race every year gets to become human. So all the road signs and traffic lights wants to win the race so they can become human. Well, every year, Rudy, Yanni, and Gertie compete against each other, even though they live in the same light. They each want to win and become human. So this year, Gertie says, screw it. Let's pull our leadership abilities together because you have something I don't have and you have something. And immediately, Rudy red light's like, no, screw you guys. I'm going to do it my way. Yanni's like, I'm not sure. What do you think? So the whole beginning of the book is about her trying to convince these roads, this traffic light. So to make a long story short, they finally combine their leadership skills. And we have those leadership skills within us, all of them, which is good. And they win the race and they become human. And the next chapter of the book, Yanni's sliding down a fire pole, Gertie's driving to a corporate job, and Rudy is coaching a Little League baseball team. And they use in the real world the lessons of leadership they learned while running this race. It's fun. It's fun. It's fun.
That's a roundabout definition of collaboration.
It gets pulling from this person and that person and just...
It's pretty awesome.
So that was the second book. The third book, Be Better, should be out soon.
Nice.
We look forward to it.
Yeah, thanks.
Share it.
Thank you.